I was a Navy SEAL for almost 17 years. I did get out of the Navy without a pension, and I had to realize, you know what, you got to keep the lights on. You got to pay the mortgage. But I also learned that I had skills that a lot of veterans have that a lot of vets don't realize they have. I started a foundation called Your Grateful Nation. We transitioned veterans to the private sector. And what the employers that where we give vets, they tell us that veterans bring in team building, stress management, problem solving, and loyalty. And you can't get that in college. And a lot of them have that. And what I tell a lot of veterans would rather go to combat than fill out a resume because it makes sense. It's like having kids. Like, at least in war, there are rules. What the hell was that? And some of these traits, I'll kind of get into them a little bit. I found myself as a public speaker. I work at Fox News. I'm a best-selling author. Stuff I didn't realize I could do until I got out there and did it. Also, the realization that the military is part of your life. It's like when you're in high school, the most important thing is high school, and then it ends. And then college ends, and the military ends. And you need to get out and do stuff. But the traits that I brought out with me that like Marcus was saying, I was never a tough guy, never the smartest guy in the room, but I learned traits. We learned, well, in my book, The Operator, if you haven't read it, I'd recommend getting it because, you know, you're buying it, and that's cool. The spoiler alert, Bin Laden dies at the end. You're welcome. That was all, complete team effort there. And we will get into that, but part of the reason we were successful that employers like is we were good to each other. You know, it was a brotherhood as far as the SEAL teams were. I had bosses that would say, please and thank you for normal work. One of our sayings was, if you want to write this down, nobody wants to work for a dick. We learned the difference between over-planning and being prepared, that too often people want to plan, and we'll sit in the planning room. But the only time the perfect plan exists is in the planning room. You know, once you leave to do your job, Murphy will show up and everything changes. A prime example, we were a week and a half into planning the mission to kill Osama Bin Laden. And we had the best tactical minds coming up with the plan, and we had the perfect plan, and we rehearsed it all day with helicopters, all night with helicopters. Then we go back to the barracks we were staying in and talk around this planning table, and we talk about the perfect plan. So we're talking 15, 16 hours a day. And one night, one of the tired bosses said, what's the worst thing that could happen? And the youngest guy in the room immediately said, the helicopter could crash in the front yard. And we're like, what the fuck, dude? Why would you say that? And that's exactly what happened. So we were able to take a potentially catastrophic event and turn it into something special, not because of the plan that never came to fruition. It was because of our preparation. We were prepared. We also learned how to take emotion out of the decision-making process, that too often your initial reaction is the wrong reaction. And it's important to take a second, even if a second's all you have, to make an informed decision. You know, it's like, go ahead and write that nasty text, but don't hit send for 24 hours. If you're still mad, it's worth it, right? And then the other thing is, no matter what, we never quit. No matter how hard it got. Like people I've seen in the private sector, 95% of the way to a long-term goal and have a bad day or a series of bad days and throw their hands in the air, that's it, I quit, I'm done. You know, you're not having a bad life. You're having a bad day. And are you having a bad day, or are you having a bad moment that you're milking into a bad day? Right? So this is the stuff, you know, we learned this at Budge right down the street here. Every Navy SEAL goes through that course. But these are the traits that veterans bring to the private sector, and that's what Your Grateful Nation does. And you know, we bring them to stuff like this and just introduce employers to people they normally wouldn't have access to, and then get the vets. The best email I get twice a week is when someone says, because of what we're doing, we have a second career. So we learned the never quit thing in Buds. I did go to, so my book, The Operator, is the first book about the Bin Laden raid that was actually approved by the Pentagon, by the Department of Defense, the three-letter agencies. And they redacted which SEAL team I went to. That rhymes with SEAL Team 6. Anyway, we went there. That was a whole different process too, but that's where you get into the thinking process. And like Marcus mentioned, the fear, that it's okay to be afraid. Like, fear is natural. Fear makes you think more clearly. You know, without fear, there wouldn't be courage. Think about the last time you watched a scary movie by yourself and you can hear everything in the house. That's fear working for you. Like, I'll be at home in my apartment by myself at night. I'm 42 years old, and I was a Navy SEAL, and like I'll be watching a scary movie, and the ice machine will go off, and I'm like, Satan, Jesus. But it's okay because, like I said, fear is natural. But there's a very fine line because panic is contagious, and it will get us all killed. Here's another example of how panic is contagious. If one person panics, everyone panics. Think about the last time you were flying somewhere and you're boarding the plane and someone from zone 3 has the nerve to try to board with zone 1. What does everybody in the terminal start doing? Get your shit, Helen. We are not putting up with this nonsense. And you take off 20 minutes late because people they get in that weird funnel. But what happens when everyone does what they're supposed to do? Like, part of me wants to be in a plane crash, not a serious plane crash, but like a minor one, just to watch people try to exit. I'll limp away from it. And then we're thinking, we're getting into the teamwork, who can make decisions rapidly in a high-stress environment. And the training that we would use, I'm going to tell you this story before I get into the Bin Laden thing, most of the time was called close quarters battle, or CQB, which is the SWAT team-style entrance that you'll see in action movies or on the news or whatever. And that's because every fight seems to come down to an entry point, whether it be a cave, a hatch, a door, And when operators come through rooms, there are definite steps, distances, movements, and angles for every single person as they come in at it. It varies for the guys behind them based on covering each other's back. So we'll start off with 4 guys at a time and do what's called a shoot house. I'm not trying to insult anyone's intelligence, but that's a training area that looks like a hotel. But the walls are ballistic because we're shooting live ammo, blowing up real bombs, and up in the rafter, there's 20 SEAL Team 6 instructors. So a minimum of 5 sets of eyes on each guy as they enter the room. And what they're doing is when that first one comes into a room and makes a mistake, which you will, you're gonna make mistakes, that's how you learn. They're not gonna stop the training to correct it. They're gonna let you keep going, but now they're gonna start adding pressure. Shining a flashlight on you, calling your name, what are you doing here? Calling you stupid because they wanna see what kind of a person you are. Are you the type of a person who can come into a situation, make a mistake, acknowledge the mistake, but realize worrying about that right now is not gonna do anything, we'll talk about it later and correct it, I have a job to do? Or are you the type of a person who comes into a situation, makes a mistake, and then you can't stop thinking about that mistake even though it doesn't matter? And because you're dwelling on that mistake and you keep moving this way over here, you make a bigger mistake, and that's where they get you. Even if you don't make a mistake, they will start yelling at you and calling you stupid and adding pressure about a mistake you both know you didn't make to see how you handle making a mistake you didn't make. They're managing your stress level, because stress is a bag of bricks. To give you an idea it's a very selective process, and every single thing needs to be in order. I'll walk you through what the number one man is thinking as he enters a room. So if you could, keep in mind, this will be one guy through one door on one wall in one room. Think about how many rooms are in this building, hallways and angles, and it would be going 10 times faster than I'm about to explain it. If you could imagine a door right here, and I'd be the number one man pointing my gun at the door, and there's a 2-man, a 3-man, and a 4-man right behind me in a line called a stack or a train, in order every time, because they are watching. What the one man is thinking is, I see a door, I don't see hinges, door opens, and click the fire, check the door, doors unlock, wait for the signal. And the signal is going to be a squeeze, on the leg or the shoulder from the 2-man, letting the 1-man know through effective communication, we have enough guys, it's time to enter. The 1-man doesn't need to waste time by turning around and counting for himself. Plus, if he did that, he just dropped security on the door. That's a safety violation, you're fired. So once he gets the squeeze, it's open the door, outside foot comes in, clear my initial corner, inside foot comes a 4 inches off the walls, I start my initial sweep, we're 6 feet off the door, I see a target, a threat, engage, finish my primary sweep, foot and a half my buddy's barrel, secondary sweep to the corner, middle of the room, clear to safe, clear. Now, the reason that can be stressful is if you're the 2-man behind the 1-man, so you have your hand on his shoulder, but you're having a bad day, and you want to choreograph what you think is going to happen in the room, even though you should never do that. Never assume something's going to go one way. Get into the situation, acknowledge it, and then adjust. But you're having a bad day. Okay, he's the 1-man, I'm the 2-man. He's going to go this way, which means I'm going to go that way. So this is definitely my outside foot going through the door. We have enough guys. Go. And all of a sudden, he goes this way. Now you just step with the wrong foot, and you got to go that way to guard his back. You're mad. They're yelling at you, and you shoot the wrong target. You're fired. Even if you don't make a mistake, like I was saying, I was that 1-man, did the whole thing over here, center of the room, click to safe, clear. Everything stopped. They actually stopped the training to yell at me. All 20 instructors, O'Neill, how could you do it? You're supposed to be 6 feet from the door. You're way too far in the room. Why? Now that is a trick question. That they're suckering you in. The answer is always because I'm an idiot. Never get into a situation, an argument you can't win. It's like when your wife comes home, honey, we need to talk. Start a fucking fire in the kitchen, way easier to handle. So 6 feet from the door, you're way too, take a step half an inch to the right. That's where we want you to get outside. You know, you go outside, they beat you up for 20 minutes, 105 degrees in Mississippi in May, doing tire drags, climbing stuff. You're doing that 30 minutes. As soon as you're done, they put you right back in the front of the train. You're going through the room again. Why? They want to see how you handle it. We all know you didn't screw up, but we punished you for it. Can you get over it? That's great advice for life. Get over it. So, this is part of the team. It's good stuff, and we all have that. Anyway, so that's part of the team I was a part of. I was fortunate enough to be in a lot of different places. We got called on the mountain when Marcus had Red Wings go down. We were part of that. My team rescued Richard Phillips. I was on the team that killed Bin Laden. I was on the base when Bo Bergdahl walked off, and we tried to rescue his dumbass like 19 times. Speaking of the right place at the right time, I've had my Army buddies tell me that I remind them of the Forrest Gump of naval special warfare, only I can't run fast and I'm not as good looking. It's like, what was that? But we were part of the team. We got called to get Osama Bin Laden. And they did tell us pretty much right off the bat. Well, you want to hear a funny story? I mean, I think I've dropped an F-bomb or two already. Do you mind if I use some Navy language for a funny story? Yeah, go for it. So they didn't tell us, I love this crowd. They didn't tell us what we were going after right away. Thank you. Who we were going after. We assumed, because they said, the way they put it out was, hey, we found a thing, and this thing is in a house, and this house is in a bowl, and this bowl's in a country, and you're going to go get the thing and bring it to us. So we're like, cool, what's the thing? Well, we can't tell you. Okay. Well, where's the house? Can't tell you. What country? Can't tell you. How are we getting there? Can't tell you. We said, how much air support? They said, none. Like, good. At least that's an answer. So we assumed it was Gaddafi, because the Arab Spring just started. We thought we were going to Libya. So we're going to go off a flat top on Ospreys or something. They just want to tell us. But they told us one night on a Friday, they said, go home, be with your kids, come back Sunday. We're going to drive down somewhere and we'll read you in. And we're like, well, who's going to be at the read-in? They're like, the Vice President, Secretary of Defense. So I'm like, holy shit. And then they're going down the list and they said CTC pad, and they kept going down the list. And I didn't say anything, but that's the counterterror for the CIA, Pac Afghan. So we all went home. I had some scotch, hung out with my kids, came back Sunday. We got in a van. We split up into fours. And my boss was next to me, and I told him exactly that. And I said, this isn't Gaddafi. We're going after Bin Laden. And he said, that's exactly what I was thinking. So we're talking back and forth. And finally, the guy driving looks in the mirror into my eyes and goes, O'Neill, if we kill Osama Bin Laden, I will suck your dick. So, 3 weeks to the day, we're standing over Bin Laden, and I said, I'm still in shock, but I look at him and go, now's as good a time as any. And he goes, what? Oh, hell no. I was like, you're a bet, bro. So. I'm not really going anywhere with that. But so we did get called for the mission. We knew what we were going to do. We had the stealth helicopters. We had a 90-minute flight. I'm skipping over a lot of details, but we had a 90-minute flight to get in there. And I think, again, one of the things that I was talking about is we can get shot down right now, but me worrying about it's not going to matter. So I'm not going to stress. Put that bag of bricks down. So guys were falling asleep. Guys were listening to their iPods. I was counting. 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 0, 0 to 1,000. It's 80 minutes into a 90-minute flight. We banked to the south, and I don't know how I remember this, but I was counting. I'm like 546, 547. Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. That's what George Bush said to the world on 9/11. I was like, well, screw counting. I'm going to say that again. Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. Then it starts to sink in. Oh, my God, I'm on this mission, and we're going to kill him. So we open the door. 2 minutes out, the lights are on. It's a city. There's a golf course. And I remember thinking, this is like a sovereign nation. This is some serious Navy SEAL shit we're about to do. So we get in there. The plan goes to hell. They just let us off on the outside. We don't know why, but the pilot saw the other guy crash land in his defense. He saved everyone's life. But so we just got out there. We were going to go to the rooftop, and now we're just going to breach that door. So we put a 7-foot C6 charge in the thing, and it opened like a damn tin can with a brick wall behind it. And the breacher turned around. He goes, "Fatal breach. This is bad." And I'm like, "No, this is good. That's a fake door. He's here." So then we said, we're going to just hit that door with another charge. We thought the first helicopter said -1 going around, -1 going around. We thought they took fire, but what they were saying was -1 going down. So we said, "Hey, we're going to breach the main carport." And they said, "No, just we'll open it." And the door opens and a thumb comes out. Now you're in a spot here. I don't know how in the hell they got there, but me worrying about it's not going to help. They're just there. We'll get the story later if we live. So we go in the house. My buddies are already in a fight. And because of where we were, I actually got to watch the coolest mission in modern history. I didn't do much. I'm just sitting there watching everybody. And I'm watching dudes breathe, thinking how cool they are, you know, because this house should blow up at any second, but they're just doing everything. Slow as smooth, smooth as fast. And I got into a door. I was actually watching my teammates grab kids and put them next to women just because they're the good guys. They don't want the kids to be more scared than they need to be. And that's when someone said to me, "Helicopter crashed." And I thought, we had some birds behind us about 45 minutes. We had some 47s with more guys from 6. And I thought one of those got shot down. I go, "Oh my God, which helicopter crashed?" And he goes, "Bro, our helicopter crashed in the front yard. You walked right past it." I'm like, as I'm processing this, one of our snipers with the dog was making a big loop around the thing to make sure that no one would escape. And he went to the spot where the tail was on the wall. And he came over the radio. He was on my bird. And he said, "Guys, be on high alert. They're definitely ready for us. They have a training mock-up of our super secret helicopter in the front yard." And then there's a pause and the boss goes, "No, you jackass, that's ours because we crashed." And there's another pause and the sniper goes, "Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than the shit I was just saying." And it's like, what are we talking about? We're in Bin Laden's house. So we finished we're going down the long hallway. I'm like 8 guys back, and we breached the door, and it was one of the women that found Bin Laden. It was a group of women, which is just kick ass, I think. She said, "I don't know what the layout looks like, but there's going to be a stairwell. On the stairwell, you will run into Khalid Bin Laden. He will be armed. And that's the last line of defense." And here's how cool she was. She said, "And if you kill him, you're going to get a shot at the big guy." So we're going up the stairs, and there was Khalid, and it went up and back. And he was armed. He jumped behind a thing. And now I'm like 8 guys back, and normally fighting up, I want to grab a few dudes and bring them out of the fight because he chucks a grenade, limit the thing. But I'm like, this is historic, and I'm going to die today anyway, so I got to watch. So I'm just standing there, and it's dark, and the guy, he said, "Khalid, Irfai Dek, Khalid, Delta Russia." He whispered, come here, Khalid, to the point where Khalid went, "What?" Like, so that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So we step over Khalid's body, we go to the thing, everyone except the point man clears the second level, and that's when I have my hand on the point man's shoulder, and he's looking up at a curtain, and he sees people moving, and he's assuming they're putting on suicide vests. So we got to go. Now, I'm the 2-man, so I'm kind of controlling them, but we don't have anybody else. And he's like, we got to go. And I remember, I know he was brave, but I wasn't being brave. My thought was, we're going to blow up. I'm tired of thinking about it. Let's get it over with. So I squeezed him. We went up the stairs. He moved the curtain. He jumped on what turned out to be women, but he assumed they were suicide bombers. So he jumped on the grenade that didn't go off, which I don't know how he doesn't have a Medal of Honor. And based on the way he went, I turned this way, and then standing there is Osama Bin Laden, 3 feet in front of me. Hands on his wife's shoulders, and just the way my escalation of force went was taller than I thought, skinnier than I thought, short gray beard, that's his nose, that's him, he's not surrendering, he's a suicide bomber, I gotta take him down. So I shot him twice here, shot him once more there. Then I moved the wife and put her on the bed. His 2-year-old son was standing there, and I remember as a father thinking, this poor kid's got nothing to do with this. And I moved him, and that's when it started to sink in, and other SEALs are coming in. And I'm kind of standing there, and one of my buddies came up, and he goes, "Are you good?" And I said, "Yeah. What are we supposed to do now?" And he smiled, and he goes, "Well, now we find the computers. We do this every night." And I said, "Yeah, you're right, that's what we do." Holy shit. And he goes, "Yeah, you just killed Osama Bin Laden. Your life just changed." Like, wow. So we gathered up a bunch of stuff, put him in a body bag. They did get confirmation who he was. We took DNA. We split up outside, put the body and the first chalk into our bird. We had another one come in to get us. And then we get on a helicopter. Now we're flying that way. And here's a mission where we accepted death. You know, I had my last meal with my kids and accepted it. But now we're leaving. And if we can get 90 minutes across the border, we get 50 more years of life. So I'm sitting there. I'm on the sniper who initiated the fire to kill Captain Phillips, which is just kind of cool. Here he is. And I'm here. And we're leaving. And everyone starts their watches. And we're just looking at it, but no one's saying anything. Now it's been 10 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. It's been 30 minutes. So now it's like a no-hitter in the top of the sixth at Fenway, you know. I'm not going to say anything, but he's pitching a no-hitter. It's 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60, 70. And then it turns into Miracle on Ice. You know, when the American hockey team beat the Russians in the 80s, when you can hear the crowd nervously counting down, 10, 9, we can still screw this up, 6, 5. And so we're 85 minutes into a 90-minute flight. And the pilot came over the radio. Pilots are just cool as hell. He goes, all right, gentlemen, for the first time in your lives, you're going to be happy to hear this. Welcome to Afghanistan. I was like, yes. Pulled it off, and then we get out, and I'm going to conclude with this story. This is why I should have helped with the movie. Did you see Zero Dark 30? Yeah. Good movie. It's good. Not great. Because at the end, it's good. At the end, some Navy SEALs showed the woman that found Bin Laden, his body, and she cried, and it was all sensitive, and she left. That's not at all what happened. What happened is we got back, they got back, the point man and I had a conversation, and he said, well, there she is. You got to give her something. You know, you own this. So we walked up, and I pulled the magazine out and jacked the last round out, and I said, do you have room for this? And she said, I think I do. She put it in her backpack, and then we said, well, we have something to show you. So we walked her to Bin Laden's body. He was laying right there. And as I'm walking over, I'm thinking, you know, this is historic. This is Normandy. This is Washington crossing the Delaware to fight the Hessians. And this woman found him. Like, she gave up her life. No husband, no kids to find him. I got to say something cool. So we're walking over, and we stopped, and all I did is I looked at her and I said, is that your guy? She looked at him for a second and a half and said, well, I guess I'm out of a fucking job. And that was it. So I think I've done my time up here. I appreciate it.